In the last episode, we drafted 11 superstars to our CAW roster and entered everyone into a single elimination tournament for the CAW World Heavyweight Championship. 3 round 1 matches, as well as 1 quarterfinals match, have been completed. We are now down to the final 7 superstars, and tonight we find out who advances to the final 4 and gets one step closer to becoming the first ever CAW World Heavyweight Champion. But before we get into that World Championship tournament, I do want to highlight the fact that I added a rivalry, our first rivalry, here in this created wrestler GM mode, and it's going to be between Chris Classic and Hollywood Blake Austin. All right, these guys both lost in the first round of the World Championship tournament, so right now they're not currently doing anything. So I figured, let's put these two guys together. Very promising. They lost in the first round, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to do great this season. Let's see what they could do outside of the tournament and see what they can bring towards our show. All right, here we go. We are here with our match card. We are in Anchorage, Alaska, here for Friday Night Smackdown. The way this show is going to start out, we have a triple threat match between Jamal Curry, Bruiser Jones, and Chris Classic. These guys all lost in the first round of the World Championship tournament. I'm just throwing them into a quick little triple threat match to see what happens between these guys, see who can come out on top out of all the first round losers. Again, we're simulating here Jamal Curry, Bruiser Jones, Chris Classic. And Bruiser Jones comes out with the win. The dude from Detroit, Michigan. All right, getting himself a nice little W here, breaking him up into the popularity realms, because I know he's beating 2 guys here. That's really good for him. Very big win for him. Maybe that'll help build some momentum moving forward. Oh, but look at this. We have a backstage parking lot brawl. I guess while Chris Classic was leaving his match, disappointed after losing to our guy up top here, Bruiser Jones, Chris Classic decides to leave the arena, go home, but before he can do so, Blake Austin catches him off guard, and now they're in a parking lot brawl. Let's see what happens here. Blake Austin must be salty himself, being eliminated in the quarterfinals of the World Championship tournament. So here we go, simulating here between these two. This is again the first meeting of their rivalry. And Blake Austin takes it to Chris Classic, really just beating him down in the parking lot. Right after the match, Chris Classic is way too exhausted to compete. And Blake Austin takes advantage of that. All right, so now we are in the first quarterfinals match of this card here. We did one quarterfinals match where Big Bad Brad ended up beating Blake Austin. Now this is another quarterfinals match, the first one of the night. It is going to be between Mr. Nice Guy, a guy that came up with a huge upset last week over Bruiser Jones. And he is up against Cowboy Billy Spade. I believe he is the number 3 seed in this entire tournament. Very big upside for this guy. But let's see if Mr. Nice Guy can pull off another upset. Let's see. And yes, Mr. Nice Guy actually pulls up the upset over Cowboy Billy Spade. See, this is what I was talking about last episode, guys. Once you get winning, you just stay winning. That consistency, that momentum, all that just kind of adds up in this series. So those guys with those first round matches might have given them a little bit of the edge over these higher seeds here. And speaking of that, Kyle Ryder picked up a huge win last week. I believe he beat Jamal Curry in the first round. And so now in his quarterfinals match, he has Bo Williams, the number 1 seed. Bo Williams is a wrestling machine. He is just a straight up grappler. All right, the best in the world. Nobody can beat him on the mat. All right, but Kyle Ryder thinks he can do otherwise. All right, this guy, he doesn't have his brother out there to help him out, but even as a singles competitor, he believes he can compete with the best. We'll see if Kyle Ryder can take out Bo Williams. See if we can get another huge upset here. No, Bo Williams. He proves why he is the #1 seed by defeating Kyle Ryder here in the quarterfinals. And Bo Williams will advance on to face Big Bad Brad in the semifinals. All right, looking here at the main event, we have Delano Anderson, who picked up a huge win over Chris Classic in the first round of this World Championship tournament. Honestly, he's probably one of the best cruiserweights on SmackDown. You could say Kyle Ryder's up there too, but these two have to wrestle it out. You got to see. But from what I've seen, Delano Anderson is one of those guys that could be a staple for this cruiserweight division. He's got Azrael, the #2 seed, a guy that honestly he might not even be human. All right, this guy is unreal. He's just from another world, another dimension, a demon, if you would say. All right, this guy is something else. A mixture of Freddy Krueger, spikes in his head, spikes in his hand, just spikes everywhere. He's just not human. Can Delano Anderson overcome that? We'll see. All right, and again, this is the main event. So not only will we see, we will really get to see, because we are going to watch this match live, and that is up next. All right, let's see it. All right, here we go. We have the main event here, quarterfinals matchup in the World Championship Tournament. Delano Anderson, Azrael. And Azrael goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote. And just like that, Azrael places himself in the semi-finals of this World Championship tournament, where he will face Mr. Nice Guy. Very dominant performance against Anderson here tonight. The only thing is, he didn't really take much damage. He really just dominated. It is going to be a tough out for anybody that wants to beat Azrael. And that wraps up Friday Night SmackDown here in Anchorage, Alaska, with Azrael advancing on to the semifinals. This was a great quarterfinals here. Some upsets, some dominant victories. Let's see what the news has to say. I'm pretty sure Raw probably wins this week too. We'll see. Yep, fan change does go to Raw. Eventually we will start adding in more of those rivalries, more of those gimmick matches as the weeks go on. Now that people are starting to get eliminated from this tournament, I can start doing more stuff with more wrestlers. So we will start trying to beat them in the ratings. The champion was able to pull out the match and retain her title, Casey Jackson. Awesome victory for her. It looks like a highlight. It may not have been the highest rated match of the week, but it sure was one of the better ones. Ooh, they did have a tables match announced, and it went pretty well. Dr. Walters, another huge victory for him, doing great there on Raw. Match of the week is going to Blake Austin. So Blake Austin's match, the parking lot brawl, actually ended up being the match of the week, the one that he beat Chris Classic. So that was actually awesome to see. He gets a little bit of love here on the news section. WWE Insider, Sasuke was victorious this past week. Man, that Sasuke character did really well last week too. He won a 1-on-3, so I wonder what he's doing this week to get himself, doing pretty well. There are quite a few superstars in the WWE. Both Raw and SmackDown have their fair share of excellent superstars. Bryce Tank. So they're talking about Tank over on Raw. So yeah, Raw is getting a lot of the news here. Definitely need to change that up pretty soon. Again, this is only the second week, so congratulations to Raw. Enjoy these early victories because things are about to change as these weeks move on. But they are getting a lot of their guys with a lot of popularity. All right, so now let's go see how these matches played out. We're going to go look at SmackDown first. This is our show. Again, a lot of half stars here with the Bruiser Jones. This was the match of the week, so it was a half-star match of the week. Again, everybody's trying to build up their popularity. Both brands are. And then on Raw, let's see what they ended up doing. So all half stars, but what matches did they pull out here? So Rachel lost to Hannah and Tank. Sasuke with Ray Ryder beats Gladiator with Midnight. So that's actually... Gladiator's a really good character. I really wanted to draft him in the last episode. I want to draft both of these guys, but Sasuke is picking up some pretty big wins here. Dr. Walters and Zach Frost over Super Dude and Joel Udo. Really good match there for Dr. Walters. And in the main event, yeah, we had Casey Jackson over Lisa Lee for the Women's Championship. And then when we look at our roster here, Mr. Nice Guy is the most popular guy on our roster. Again, he's undefeated with all of the other guys that are in the semifinals. I can't believe he actually is in the semifinals. He's the lowest overall wrestler that we have on this entire roster here, and he's in the semifinals. But he picked up some pretty big wins. Blake Austin, Azrael, Bo Williams, Brad, Bruiser Jones, Delano, Kyle Ryder. So again, these are all of our guys here. All right, now if we look over at this fan support, again, it's still pretty close. There's still a lot of time for me to catch up. Again, I'm not too worried about these early weeks. Raw is starting to get some guys a little more popular. Again, their championships help boost those popularities up, and they probably got some rivalries going on because I'm seeing some matches. You know, some people face each other in multiple weeks, so it's going to be pretty cool to see what they end up pulling out. But 4,890,000 for us. 5,110,000 for them. Let's hope for, you know, by the time we get to SummerSlam, I really want to be a decent amount above them. I don't want to be trailing by that point, but we should definitely be ahead of them before SummerSlam. And then lastly, we're just going to look at this Power 25. Dr. Walters is holding the top spot again for, what is it, the second consecutive week? Yeah, so for the second consecutive week, he is holding that top spot. Sasuke is the WWE champion, so he's definitely going to be up top. Women's champion is Casey Jackson. And again, we don't have any champions, so that's not going to, you know, it's going to be really hard to compete for these top spots on the Power 25 without a champion. But again, we're crowning a world champion soon, and then everything else will kind of just fall into place once we get the other titles going too as well. Mr. Nice Guy is our top guy. Blake Austin, Azrael. So I believe it's the same order as the popularity on our roster during these early weeks. Again, top 5 guys are eligible for the world title, right? And actually these guys are all in the tournament other than Blake Austin for the title. Bruiser Jones is at 6. Delano just dropped to 7. Ryder's at 8. Spade is at 9. Jamal Curry at 10. And then Chris Classic is all the way at the bottom at 11. If we want to look at Raw, we can. Dr. Walters is number 1. Sasuke, Casey Jackson, Jack Frost, Ray Ryder, Kyle's older brother, Super Dude, Hannah, Tank, Lisa Lee, Rachel. Gladiator is all the way down at 11, but he's a champion. Joel Udo is the Intercontinental Champion. Ricky Nash, Midnight, and then they don't have a 15th. But that is all we've got for today's episode. Again, if you want to add your own created wrestler into this series, just comment down below all the things that I asked at the beginning of this video, and you can have your created wrestler on the show at some point. It might not be the next episode, it might not be the next 2 episodes, but they will eventually pop up on the show when I have the time to add them in and, you know, add all that stuff in there for you. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.